What's up everyone? This week you're going to have to put your thinking caps on because we're talking about documentaries and music and truth. That's all coming up. So it's been a busy week. I had a terrific and really productive meeting with John and Janet, who are helping on the Worthing projects that I'm doing. If you don't know about that, then I'll put a link to a video here, and you can go and check it out. And there's a link between the Worthing project and the Bournemouth Symphony Orchestra D-Day project that I talked about last week in the vlog, because they're both kinds of musical documentaries. And I wanted to talk about this idea of the musical documentary today, because it's something I've been thinking about a lot and have been experimenting with. But before we talk about what a musical documentary is, we need to have a think about what a documentary is. So what's a documentary? Well, first of all, obviously, it's something that's non-fiction, right? It's meant to be helping us to understand something, and therefore it's about trying to get at the truth of something. When you watch Louis Theroux doing one of his videos, you want to find out more about something. You want to get to the truth of the Scientologists or whoever it is that the documentary is about. So if the documentary is about getting at the truth, then we need to figure out what do we mean by truth. I told you needed your thinking caps for this one. Very broadly, I think there are two different kinds of truths that we often think about. And I think it would be helpful to show this on screen. So the first kind of truth that we're used to is what you might call an empirical truth. So that's truth which is things like facts. It's stuff that you can find out, that you can prove. So it's linked to science, and you might like to think of it as kind of digging in the ground, mining for facts. So that's one kind of truth. But another kind of truth you might call more a postmodern truth, which is about individual truths, personal truths. Truths that aren't absolute, universal, provable facts, but truths that are more about experience. And most documentaries will look at both kinds of truths. So, say a documentary about D-Day may well have some empirical facts about how many boats were there and so on, but it might also have more experiential truths, talking to people who were there and hearing their different stories. But if a documentary is basically a kind of empirical documentary, it's about objective facts, then at its very worst, that kind of documentary can end up trying to tell you what to think. And I'm sure you've come across this kind of film before. The worst kind is propaganda, right? That the filmmaker's got a very clear idea of what you should think about something, and they do their best to tell you what to think. But there's another kind of documentary, which goes more to the postmodern side of things, which would be not so much telling you what to think, but presenting stuff for you then to go away and make up your own mind. And personally, I think this is a more interesting way of making documentary, because it's not bludgeoning the viewer over the head with telling them what to think about something. It's more presenting sources and enabling them to actually be kind of active part of the film. So what about music in documentaries? Well, as you know, music's great at making you feel certain ways. And in a more empirical documentary, music can be used to try and make you feel a certain way. So if a filmmaker thinks that something is sad, they can use sad music at that point in the film to make you feel sad too. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't many wonderful documentaries out there which use music in this way, but I'm interested in liberating music from just telling you what to think. So music isn't just subservient to the story that's being told, but music is actually kind of central to the thing that's being created. And so both my Worthing and my Bournemouth D-Day projects are musical works which have texts in them about a particular subject. So music isn't just subservient to the story that's being told, but music is actually kind of central to the thing that's being created. What I'm also interested in is how the documentary film material that you create when you interview people, for example, actually has music in it. And in order to tell you about that, I think I need to actually show you an example. Now, I've been filming upstairs because there's more light up here, but let's go downstairs and I need to keep me bright. Let's go downstairs and I'm going to show you on the computer what I mean with some of the footage that I shot down at my grandpa's. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to play you an extract from the interview with my grandpa, where he's talking about his experiences of getting the orders for D-Day. So here we go.
I was sent over to collect the sealed envelope, a sealed brown envelope, covered in red seals. And I knew exactly what it was when I got there. I was clever enough to realise that is a historic moment. And I climbed up the ladder from the motor cutter up onto the quarterdeck of the Belfast, and I was duly given this to take carefully back to the ship, which I did. Those were our orders for D-Day.
Now, as I say, I'm interested in the music that you get in documentary material. And by that here, I mean there's actually a music to people's speech. Now, I'm not the first composer to be interested in musical speech patterns. Janacek, great example of someone who's obsessed with speech patterns. Also Steve Reich, there's a piece called Different Trains, which is a really interesting example of musical documentary. So I'm not claiming any originality here. But let's just listen to the opening of Grandpa's interview again.
I was sent over to collect the sealed envelope, a sealed brown envelope. I was sent over to collect the sealed envelope, a sealed brown envelope.
So if you go through that, you can actually hear there are musical pitches in his speech.
I was sent over to collect the sealed envelope.
Sealed N, you get that?
I was sent over to collect the sealed envelope.
Sealed envelope.
I was sent over to collect the sealed envelope, a sealed brown envelope.
Sealed brown envelope. And you can go through and transcribe this and actually work out the music in the speech pattern. And you can see now that I'm able to transcribe what Grandpa's saying, almost as if he's singing it, the notes and how long they are, and this will create musical material.
I was sent over to collect the sealed envelope, a sealed brown envelope.
So I don't know what I'm going to do with this material yet. As I say, the whole point of this vlog is to show you my work in progress. This creates musical material which I can then use in my piece. I can manipulate in different ways. My composing students often ask me, how do I start a piece? Well, there are loads of ways of finding material in the world, and here's one of them. We're talking all the time. You could go through and transcribe what I'm saying in this vlog and turn that into music. So a musical documentary is not only about bringing music up to the level of everything else, and about not letting music manipulate people into thinking one thing or another, but it's also about finding the music in the material itself. If you've enjoyed this video, then hit that subscribe button, because I do one of these composing vlogs every Sunday night. And say hi in the comments as well, because I'm always interested to hear what you guys think. And I will see you next Sunday.